Hi ladies, in this quick video we're going to be making this card here, the 'Tis the Season card. So for this one we're using the Christmas season stamp set. This is a 2 stamp set because basically you have like the inners and you have the outer stamps. Okay, so for this one here we are using these leaves as well as the inner pieces of it, and then we're also going to use the berries along with the stems that pop in there. And then they're going to be popped out die cut with the dies from the coordinating die set. So all of these go ahead and they cut out the various stamps in Christmas season, but you also have a number of different other dies here that are perfect for cutting out sentiments or just images without actually going and doing the small little ones. So I'm just going to put these guys away over here. Make sure that they are not lost because I hate it when I lose dies. Okay, so I have a piece of thick basic white cardstock, and I did go ahead and score it ahead of time just to make things a little bit easier. And I will quickly just make that nice and smooth and flat. Okay, so to stamp the various leaves and the berries, I have another piece of thick basic white cardstock here. Just gonna turn it around. You can see the ones that I've already cut out. Because I'm gonna stamp these, but I'm not gonna cut them because I already have the cut ones sitting over here beside me. Okay, so whenever I do 2-step stamping, I always like to make sure that I do the inside or whatever the darker color is first. So for the leaves, and I'm gonna do 3 sets of them. This is my garden green ink. And I'm gonna go ahead and ink this up. I'm gonna stamp this 3 times on this cardstock, preferably without dropping it down once and wrecking the piece of paper. So 1, 2, and then 3. Okay. So once I have that, I'm going to go back with my Pear Pizzazz ink, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp these over top. Now my Pear Pizzazz ink needs re-inking a little bit because its ink is concentrated more around the edges than it is in the over the center. Okay, so now I find it a little bit easier to line up where the green is going to go. So you get a really nice image that's actually pretty close to perfect. It is a little tougher when you do it the other way. Okay. And I'm doing this kind of slightly off kilter from my line of vision because my phone is just sitting right in the way of my line of vision, but that's okay. All right. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So now I have 3 really nice sets of leaves. I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to go back to my garden green ink and that smaller stem. So the stem is actually quite small. Put one there, and then I'm going to go back and put one over here. Okay. And I'm going to take some real red ink, and I'm going to go ahead and put the berries on. You all know that I like to go and close all of the ink between because I have this bad habit of running my fingers through it or my arms or whatever else, and so then I end up all kinds of ink. Okay, so there we go. So I can line the berries up just against the edge of those stems there. And it's really not difficult at all. I thought this was going to be a little worse, and my concern was that they're going to be difficult to line up and then I wouldn't be able to actually cut them. But they line up, oh, that one's a little bit off, but they line up quite nicely. And then when you cut them, they look pretty good. So where are my chopped up ones? My die cut ones are over here. Okay, so whoops, I just went and tried to throw my card away. Okay, so now I've got my 3 sets of leaves. I'm just sitting down now. Got my 3 sets of leaves, and I have my 2 sets of berries. And these are the ones that I turned around and cut ahead of time, just so I wouldn't have to worry about doing that with the cutting machine, the die cutting machine. Okay, so I'm going to open this back up just to make sure that it's flat. I'm going to quickly arrange them where I want them to be. This one's a little bit lighter, so I'm going to put him near the top. And then I think I will kind of put that one over here towards the side. And then I'm going to bring this one in a little bit lower. So I'm going to chop off his bottom stem. Okay. Now, I found the easiest way to do this because I don't want them to sit flat. Like you can see that they're all kind of pulled off the card a little bit. So I don't really want them to sit flat. So I'm actually going to glue them on with a little bit of glue. Some of this lovely multi-purpose glue, which is funny because I never used to use this. I've had it for years and I was never a big fan of using it, but I use it on everything now. And I really do like it because first of all, it dries pretty quickly. So you've got a little bit of movement, a little bit of time to play, but not a tremendous amount of time. Okay, so I've got those on there, and then I'm going to go and put a little bit of glue on the back of this one, and I'm going to stick this one on top. Okay. I'll just maybe I'll move that up just a little bit like that. Okay. All right, and then I'm also going to turn around and I'm going to glue the berries on top. So really, it's just a whole pile of layering of pieces on. And then once it's all dry, oh, that one doesn't want to stay very well. Do I need some more glue? And once it's all dry, then I will go ahead and kind of pull the leaves and the berries off of the card a little bit to give it that dimension. But I'm certainly not going to do that while everything is still setting. Oh, see, I want that there. I wonder if I can still move this one. A little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I have those on there. I'm going to just set this aside for just a moment. All right, so in this stamp set, where did I put it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh, over here we go. I had it in a different spot. So under the Christmas to Remember, we're going to use the 'Tis the Season. These actually do coordinate with the dies that I showed you a moment ago from the seasonal labels dies, because you find that most of these dies will fit some of the sentiments that are in there. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. I always, 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 always love stamp sets that have dies attached there. Okay, I'm gonna go just with this one here. And I'm gonna stamp this in Garden Green because this is a pretty solid stamp, but I realize I don't have a block. So, lean over to my block basket, which I keep on the floor because I use it so much that I just find it easier to have it sitting right there. Okay, so open my Garden Green again. And I do want to do a good job of inking this up because it is a solid stamp and I want to make sure I get a decent image on it. Okay. All right, I think that's pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna just put this aside again before I go and do anything else, and I'm just gonna stamp this down. That's pretty good. Looks like I might have something on my stamp, and that's okay. Because if you look really carefully at the leaves that are on this one and this one, apparently I had a piece of dog fur on there. And so you can see a little line from where the dog fur stuck. It's like a little personal piece of Ginny. Ginny, 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 the golden retriever on everything I do. So I'm just hand cutting this. There's no die for this. I'm just chopping it by hand. Okay, all right, there we go. Take those little pieces, put them off to the side. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to take my red ribbon. This is the Real Red double stitched satin ribbon. And I'm just going to cut a piece off that is a little bit longer than my sentiment. Okay, not much longer, just a bit. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh, I hear movement upstairs. I don't know if that's the dog or if that's somebody else. My craft room sits almost right beneath my front door. And so whenever there's anybody walking around out down on the main floor, you can kind of hear them. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this on here. 'Tis the Season. Perfect. Oh, look at that. Oh, dog fur. I got a piece of dog fur. I do have a piece of dog fur. There we go. Okay, we got that off. All right, so I'm going to take some mini dimensionals, which are right over here. I have a lot of stuff on my tables, so I'm trying to minimize, or I should say maximize, where I keep everything. Okay, so I've got my 'Tis the Season. And there we go. So the other side is here. Now, I will admit that because of the way this card has come together, it's pretty packed in terms of things that are on there. I did look at, and I did try putting a double layer of dimensionals on the right-hand side so that this would be a little bit higher, but I find that unless it's sitting all the way on top of everything, it really messes the card up. So I'm just going with something that's a single one. And it's okay. It's not off by all that much. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our 'Tis the Season. And then the last thing I'm going to do is pop on a couple of pearls just below, just to kind of add one more little thing. Now you could easily, if you wanted to, you could easily put some other images just in behind, like some, you know, some sparkles or some I'm trying to think here, some kind of like snowflakes or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be plain like that. You know, if you have any of those dots that are kind of like smooshes, or stamps that are kind of like smooshes, or ones that are, you know, a little bit grungy with all the dots on there, all of those would look really nice if you put just a lighter color, use it in like limited amounts. Okay, so there we go. So now we have our 'Tis the Season card. Okay, so really not all that difficult to make. What I'm gonna do once this is fully dry is I will go and pull those away. Just got a little bit of Wink of Stella onto those berries. It'll color the berries just a little bit because the Wink of Stella will pick up a little bit of the ink. You can see it just kind of melds them together a little bit. They're not quite as defined as they were, but they've got some sheen to them now, so they look lovely. Okay, and let's just pull these away a little bit. I don't want to pull them away too much, but just enough to kind of, you know, give it a little bit of lift on the card. There we go. So then as you can see, when they're like this, they're not completely flat. You know, you do have a little bit of something extra to them, and they're quite pretty. Okay, so that is the end of this one. That is how you make this card, and it is really quite easy and quite pretty once it's finished. Okay, thank you so much.